What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to another episode on the Captain's Corner here. Today we got episode 10, Young Money and preseason talk. So some news to get into from this preseason. Lots going on, obviously. Next week we'll do more cuts, obviously, who gets cut, who makes some PTO deals and stuff. But this week we're really just talking about some news that's been going on this last week. And welcome to the Captain's Corner pod. This hockey podcast comes out Monday and Fridays. Sorry I missed this Monday. A lot going on. Definitely gonna try to get in a routine, but this Monday won't really be news. It'll be I'm gonna pre-record it this weekend, and it's gonna be more of a cap episode. So more on that later. But yeah, today we're just talking about news, talking about some signs I've seen, a bunch of different stuff. You can see the topics on the screen if you are watching on YouTube. So Captain's Corner Pod. Follow us on socials. We got Caps Corner Pod on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. I'm really going to start getting those going, especially with hockey season going. Lots of content, lots of stuff to talk about, opinion stuff. So definitely be sure to check that out. Full preseason in full swing since last episode. Games have started. Some have been good, some haven't been bad. I haven't really watched tons, but definitely a lot of games going on here. And we'll get into that shortly. But yeah, kind of just on the docket today, we're going to talk a little preseason, and we're going to talk about some paydays, some quick hits on news, and then we'll just wrap up with a little NFL talk since that season is full swing. And why not? I expect later this week, midweek, we'll see a lot more roster moves and cuts. Obviously, a lot of guys have been sent down back to their junior teams. They usually give them a preseason game or two, let them get their feet wet in camp, and then they send them back because junior season is starting next week, or in a week and a half, I should say. They got preseason games this weekend. And then just something before we get into some news. Obviously, Tampa Bay has canceled their preseason games and a lot of events they've had. I believe they moved training camp, but yeah, just praying for everyone down there. Obviously, tough Hurricane Ian. So yeah, just hopefully everyone's staying safe down there. I'll have a donation link down in the description of a foundation I can find. So I'll ping that in the top of the comments too. So if anyone's looking to donate and help out the cause, it'll be down there. But yeah, let's get right into this episode. Won't be too long, I don't think. Not tons going on really to dig deep into. But yeah, just some start. We're going to do some preseason talk. The games so far have been all right. I haven't really watched much. The lineups are weird for at least the teams I follow. They're playing a lot of young guys. Nothing crazy's happening either. It's just they're kind of mixing and matching, getting different guys in the lineup. I expect the last game or two will be mainly the guys that are going to be on the roster. But mainly what I've been seeing for the first couple games have been guys that fringe, young guys, AHL guys are going to play. Just kind of looking at, so today, September 30th, I should say. Looking at Wednesday scores, because obviously I'm recording this during Thursday's games. The Leafs won 3-0 against the Canadiens. Nick Robertson scored. Dylan Strome scored for the Capitals in their win. He scored twice. Connor Brown. Reichel scored for Chicago. Just kind of going through, it's like Uyghur scored for the Flames, Huberdeau scored, so some guys are getting in. Obviously, some guys are going to play more on other teams. I know the Sabres, they really have played a lot of young guys so far. I think the Vets have played one game. They'll probably play the rest of them, is my prediction. But yeah, so preseason, nothing crazy's come out of it. Zegras did get hurt. I haven't got a status update on him yet. He got lit up going across the middle. He had his head down, skating across. Clean hit, something you don't want to see in the preseason, though, on a star player, which does suck, but you also got to learn to keep your head up. It's the big leagues. So his teammates stepped in and fought him, the guy immediately that hit him. So that's what happened with that. And I'm sure we'll have a status update on Zegras soon on how long he'll be out for, if out at all. Who knows? All we know is that it's an upper body injury. And then just finally for preseason talk, because preseason's boring. Better than football preseason, but still nothing special to it. Everyone just complained, oh, this sucks. This is preseason. That's why tickets are cheap. And That's why teams do this. Like, the vets aren't going to go out there and they have nothing to prove. The vets, like, they're already on the roster. They're not going to go out there. They're playing. They're getting their legs going, getting the game flow, but they're not selling out to block a puck or do crazy body checks in preseason. Their goal is to get up and down, get the feel for a game, then get out. Like, they're not trying to do anything crazy. Their goal is to stay healthy and be ready for the regular season. So I'm just something I wanted to rant about quick because I've been seeing it all over Twitter. People just complaining about it. It's ridiculous because it's preseason. What do you expect? It's preseason. They're not like, it's the same thing that happens in the NFL. Like, the vets don't sell out like, they're not going off. They barely play because they're trying to get healthy, stay healthy to go into the season. So just something I wanted to talk about because I've been seeing it so much and it's like, it's ridiculous. Like, obviously these young guys are going to be going out, like fringe guys, like they're going to be fighting. They're going to be like showing the coaches what they can do because they're looking for a roster spot. But there's no reason for Connor McDavid to be going 100%. He should, in my opinion, he should play one preseason game and that's it. But that's just how it is. People are always going to find something to complain about. So that's my rant on preseason. If you don't like it, don't watch it. But there's not much you can do about it. But yeah, so that's my preseason talk. Really not much going on, in my opinion. Don't really want to watch the games. I don't know. I'm waiting for the regular season. I'll watch those games, but not preseason. If I'm bored, I'll watch it. But right now, I'm watching football, and that's really it. So yeah. All right, next topic. We got Young Money. So Spencer Knight just got paid. He signed an extension. He has one more year left on his entry-level contract. And then he would have been an RFA, but they signed him to a 3-year, $4.5 million deal. So that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money for a goalie that really hasn't done much yet. Proved much, I should say. He's a very good goaltender, but he's only played 32 NHL games, and he's still behind Sergei Bobrovsky. Obviously, their plan is for him to take over the number one role, but he's played 32. He played 32 games last year. He was 19-9-3 with a 908 save percentage. Then he played 11 games in the AHL. He was 7-4 with a 905 save percentage. Like, guy hasn't played a lot of games. Like, he really hasn't. Like, he's had up and down games. He had really, I don't know, it's unproven money. I think it's a little much for a guy that didn't really need to get paid yet. If you know what I mean. Like, he had one more year left in his entry-level contract. I don't know why he didn't play this out. And then if he plays well, then he's earned it. Then you can pay him for a longer deal and also find a way to move on from Bobrovsky then. But you don't know if he's going to be your number one this year. Like, they're still in a cup window, so I think they're going to ride with Bobrovsky to start. Obviously, if he plays like he did last year, he's going to be their starter. So that's definitely weird in my opinion. And just the way the league's going, kind of that's why it's Young Money, because like guys are getting paid in this league where they really haven't done like they've had a good season or two, but you don't know if this is how they're going to be their whole career. Like, what happened to like bridge deals and like, hey, prove it. Like they hold the rights to teams. Like, you're an RFA, but I don't know. It's something that's been trending. Like, obviously Stützle got paid this year, 8 years, 8.3. Jordan Caillou out in St. Louis, he got paid 8 years, 8.125. So he's making less than Stützle, but he's also been in the league a little longer, and he's proved. I find Caillou's actually proved himself. Stützle's like, he's gonna be good. He's gonna be good. Don't get me wrong, but paying him a little early, I find. Like, you still have time, in my opinion. Like, they're paying, like, give him a bridge deal, then pay him the 8 or 9. I don't know. It's interesting to see. I'm not gonna complain. That's how the league's going. Everything's always changing. So, like, young guys are gonna get paid. So it's just interesting to see. But yeah, to compare, so those are a couple guys I want to talk about Young Money, but I just kind of want to get into a little bit of a comparison now of Knight versus Oettinger. So obviously Jake Oettinger coming to camp, he got paid 3 years, 4.4 mil. He got 3 years times 4 mil. Sorry. Oettinger just turned 23. Spencer Knight is 21. So they're about a year apart, I believe it is, because of the way the dates work out. But yeah, just kind of looking at the stats, Oettinger's has the same length and he's making less money. And I found he's been more proven. He's going to be the starter in Dallas. He's played 77 games. He started 70 of them. His record's 41, 23, and 8, but on a much worse team. Like, obviously, Dallas has their ups and downs, but they're not as deep as Florida is. He has a 2.46 goals against average and a 913 save percentage. Meanwhile, comparing that to Knight has a 909 save percentage, a 274 goals against average. He's played 36 career games. He's 23, 9, and 3, and he started 30 of them. So, I don't know. It's a coin flip. Like, obviously, Knight could play the same amount of games and be better. Could play a full amount of games this season and be better than Oettinger. But, I don't know. I found, like, it's a little early to pay him. Looking at the numbers, like, you've got Oettinger. Like, I thought you would want to, I don't know. It's weird to me. Like, I think you would want to pay the Oettinger a little less. Knight a little less if you're comparing him to the market of Oettinger. I don't know. In my opinion, I find Oettinger's a little better of a goaltender right now. Obviously, Knight has a higher caliber, and his stock was higher coming into the draft. And so he's definitely, like, the Florida Panthers think he's the goalie of the future. So that's definitely why they paid him. It's just they're going to spend so much money on their goaltender next year. Panthers, and you're in a cup window. I think the Knight contract could have waited. Obviously, he might have priced himself into a higher contract after this year, but you're in your cup window. You might need that cap space down the road when you're paying your goalies $14.5 million till 2026. They're gonna have to move one of these guys, and I don't think it's gonna be Knight. So they're gonna have to find a way to move Bobrovsky's huge contract of $10 million, which I don't know if that's possible. Unless you're giving up picks and stuff and retaining salary and a whole bunch of stuff. So that's definitely going to be difficult for this franchise. So they kind of hurt themselves here with this contract. Might work out in the future if they can move on from Bobrovsky if they find out Knight is their guy. But just looking at the numbers, like, they're two very similar goalies where they're at in their career. Obviously, Oettinger's had one more year of NHL experience. He's the starter. He's coming into the year as their starter. He's on a worse team, but just kind of looking at the numbers. But let me know what you guys think. Do you think, what goalie would you rather have? What deal do you think is better? And would you pay Knight this early? So, yeah, that's kind of that talk with that. So, something to think about. But obviously, I'm not a general manager. It's just my opinion. So, I would not have paid Knight that early. I would have waited a year, see what happens as it was a little early. He still had one more year. He was still under contract for one more year. And he would have been an RFA. So. But nextly, we got just a couple quick hits to talk about before we wrap up. This is going to be a little bit of a shorter episode. Last week we went 30 minutes. Probably go 16, 18 minutes. Not much. A little less to talk about this week. Couple quick hits. Brock Besser of the Vancouver Canucks. He's out 3 to 4 weeks, the team announced. He got hand surgery, so they announced this on the 26th. So he'll miss a couple weeks to start the season. If all goes according to plan, usually hand injuries, you can get the guys back. They're probably not going to rush him. Like, if playoffs, he could probably play in a week or two. But it's preseason, beginning of the season, let him get fully healthy and be good to go for the season. And John Tavares, the team announced on the 28th, he will be out for at least 3 weeks with an oblique strain. So, yeah, they're going to be missing their captain, but might give a opportunity for, like, a young guy like Nick Roberts into play. So he's a guy that's looked pretty good for them in the preseason and might open up a spot for them to try a guy out for the first couple weeks here, let a young buck get in there, because they do have some good prospects. They just haven't been able to get them in the lineup because they're chasing that cup and they have such a veteran team that they keep signing. So. And then one other signing I saw was Rasmus Sandin. He was an RFA. He was one of the last remaining RFAs besides Jason Robertson, who still hasn't signed here, which is kind of wild to me. He's been linked. Apparently, teams have been interested, inquiring about him, but who knows if Dallas is even willing to give anything up. Like, that's their franchise, most likely. So definitely something to watch out for. But Sandin signed a 2-year, $1.4 million. Obviously, there's been some injuries with the Maple Leafs, and he had to get back, so he took the money basically the Leafs were offering. So instead of asking for higher money, he's just like, yep, let's just sign a 2-year deal, play, go from there. That's just smart. Like, play 2 years and then go from there. Maybe a team will pay more. Leafs will move on from a couple of these older defensemen, have more space. Definitely something to watch out for. The cap is potentially going to go up. It was announced that the cap, it was reported, I don't know by who, but that the cap is supposedly going to go up to $10 million the next 3 seasons. I'm going to do a little more research on that, but Monday's episode will be a cap episode, kind of just talking about where the cap's at now, where it's going to go, and just teams, what's their cap situation going into the season, and that which could lead to some potential cuts because of contracts and stuff. So that will be Monday's episode. Another quick hit, Canada lifts the border vaccine, so starting 10-1. So Saturday, teams will no longer have to be vaccinated, people will no longer have to be vaccinated across the border, will no longer need tests across the border, anything like that. So that's not a huge deal for the NHL, vaccine-wise. Most of their players were, besides a couple. Tyler Bertuzzi and Penguins' Josh Archibald were supposedly the only ones. But that will help with testing. Guys, if they don't have to test to go into the border, which is nice. So they don't get, anti-symptomatic tests, I guess. So that's that. And then just finally, before we get into some NHL talk, just some potential segments. If you guys want to see any segments, let me know. But for segments, I'm kind of thinking a Caps picks, do a weekly gambling side of it. Then do Monday, maybe do weekly awards for best performers, stuff like that. Kind of just have different segments, not each week, day of the week, Mondays and Fridays, each have different segments. Kind of just break it up, change it up a little bit. So if you have any segment ideas, let me know down in the comments or shoot me a message on Twitter or Instagram. And then finally, just some NFL talk, to wrap up. Going into week 4 already, which is kind of wild, of the NFL season. It's been some good games. Dolphins are coming out hot. My team, the Bills, let up against the Dolphins, but they've started well the first 2 games, getting hit with injuries. The Bengals are looking to bounce back. They won last week. So just some fun stuff in the NFL. Green Bay is a team to watch out for, but yeah, I don't know. It's so fun to be able to gamble on the NFL and stuff. So definitely something I enjoy. Well, if you guys want to see a little more NFL talk, I don't know what, maybe talk some picks or whatever, let me know. We can do a weekly segment of that too for the football season. But that's really all I got for this week's episode, guys. Thank you for listening to the Caps Corner pod. Be sure to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, subscribe. I don't want to do this every week, but just it helps. It helps. I'm trying to grow a channel here and hope you guys enjoy it. But thanks for tuning in, guys, and we'll catch you in the next episode. Peace. Have a good one.